Hey, this is Phil from Race City Retro, and this is my 2020 Dodge Challenger 1320 in Go Mango Orange. What is a Challenger 1320? Some of you may be asking, probably most of you, because every time I take this car out, people look at the emblems on it and they say, "What is that? What, you put that on there, 1320?" No, I didn't put it on. Dodge put it on. What the 1320 package is, it's a very limited package that was made from 2019 to 2023 on the Dodge Challengers. It was all the Demon technology minus the engine. Dodge came out with all this great stuff when the Demon first came out, and they said, "We made all these cool parts. What are we going to do? Just shelf them?" So I guess they had the idea, they wanted to build a car for the grassroots racer, something that you could drive to the track, knock down 11.7s with the car, drive home. Not have to tune it, not have to work on it, not have to do a thing. And with the 1320 package, they accomplished it. According to Dodge, anyone can get into this car and click off an 11.7. That was great in 2019. As the years went on, the package kind of got diluted. These cars came with nothing. As a matter of fact, they came with a driver's seat only. Yes, you heard me correct. They came with one seat. If you wanted a passenger seat, you had to add it to the car for $1. If you wanted a rear seat, you had to add it to the car for $1. But in the beginning, when the dealers first started ordering a couple of these, they didn't realize that. So there's a few 1320s, we call them unicorns, with just one driver's seat and nothing else. In order to get a 1320 to go in the 11s, it has to be a pretty stripped out one, just as those, or even this one. This car has two options and that's it. It's got a passenger seat and a rear seat. Besides those two options, there was really nothing else you can get. But as time went on, Dodge said, "Hey, maybe we could sell more of these things if we loaded them up." But to me, doesn't that defeat the purpose of the package? The package is a go fast package. If you're adding leather interior, moonroofs, crazy stereos, you're adding a ton of weight to the car. Now guys are buying the cars and they're running basically the same times as a stock Scat Pack. You don't have that advantage that you had by going as light as you possibly could with the car. Even the seats in this car are just basic seats. They don't have any heat, air conditioning, none of that stuff that the other Challengers have. So it's as light as can possibly be. Have not weighed it yet, but I plan on it. This car is dead stock. It's got 3,800 miles on it. It's a 2020. So basically, it just sat in the collection. It hardly ever got used. This now, also, let me tell you about some of the other 1320 stuff, and then I'll tell you what we're going to do to this car today. These cars came from the factory with 4 drag radials on them. They also came with a trans brake. They came with a line lock. They came with 41 spline rear axles. They came with a drag mode button. And what the drag mode button does is it kicks in the adaptive suspension. So when you launch this car, it squats and lifts. It throws all the weight over the back tires. It grabs really good and it goes really fast. I love everything about this car, except for one thing. It's too much orange, this car. It needs a stripe. So today, we're going to put a stripe on this car. Now, when I want to look for a stripe, there's a bazillion of them out there. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. They look kind of kidsy, kind of used car lotty. I wanted something that would capture a Mopar flavor to it, yet be unique. And Pro Motor Stripes had exactly what I was looking for. I'm going to put a link for them in the description. If you're interested in this stripe or other stripes, check them out. I know they're on eBay. They have their own website. Really nice stuff. It's all good vinyl. They're not using cheap junk vinyl, which a lot of the online sellers will do. But I think you'll like their designs. They have a lot of stuff to choose from. So let's talk about the do's and don'ts when adding a vinyl stripe to your car. Okay, here's the stripe that I chose, and I know it looks a little wacky hanging there. But once it gets going on the car, you'll see it'll all start to make sense. It's kind of like a strobe stripe, like an AAR Cuda would have had back then. And I like that because it's got a Mopar look to it. And you'll notice they shipped it to me rolled up in a box. The first thing I did was hung it up so it's flat. It can sit for a little while and flatten out. Whenever you're going to put a stripe on a car of this size, you want to make sure it's flat. It's just a lot easier to work with. And now one of the things too you might want to do, I did for an example on this to so you don't get confused. I just marked like that's your driver's side rear, that's your driver's side door, that's your driver's side front. So now you'll split this up the middle, and everything on that side is the same stripe but cut for a passenger side. Okay, because it may get a little confusing. If you're going to mark your stripes, don't ever put anything right over the stripe in case it bleeds through. Don't write with a pen so you don't ding the vinyl. But you want to keep this stuff. I hung it up here so it can flatten out. And you want to keep it warm. Don't put it in a cold situation because that's very bad for the vinyl before you apply it. But that's the stripe we're going to install today. Now, the Dodge Challenger, man, she's a big girl. That's a lot of real estate. So you got to be prepared. You're going to be working with very long pieces of vinyl. If you can get a helper, that would be great because you don't want to have something, get ruined in the installation because you didn't have another person there to help you out. But if you can, it could still be done with one person. You just got to take your time. And you notice how we're in my garage? Don't ever put big giant stripes outside because I'll guarantee you the minute you peel the backing off, it's going to get real windy out all of a sudden. Plus, you can get dirt on the car, trapped in the stripe. Lots of things can happen outside. So try and get an inside scenario. Make sure it's warm. You never want to put a stripe on the car in the cold. You want to make sure the car is warm to the touch. You don't want to just pull something in out of the cold and start sticking to it. Everything's got to be nice for you to put the stripe on. Now, last night, in knowing I was going to do the stripe this morning, I gave this car a bath, and what I used was Dawn dish detergent, because what that'll do, especially in the area where we're putting the stripe, it's going to strip the wax off. You don't want to put a stripe over a very glossy, slippery area. You'd rather have no wax on it, and then just after the stripe dries, re-wax the car. But this is where this stripe goes. It goes on the upper body panel. And you want to just eyeball it. Don't touch it a lot with your finger grease. We're going to actually clean it one more time right before we go to put the stripe on. But let's show you the things you're going to need to put this stripe on successfully. Okay, here's the tools of the trade. Things you're going to need to install this stripe and get it on the car properly. Let's start off with the basic stuff. I like straight edge razor blades for trimming the corners and stuff. Real easy to maneuver. A little better than a clunky sheetrock knife, so I'll just keep a couple of these on hand. This is a brand new applicator. That smooths things down, gets the air bubbles out. You want a new one because as these get used, the edges get bumpy and sharp. You don't want to cut your new stripe. You don't want to rip through the masking paper. So always start each job with a new one. These things are cheap. They're like $5. Sometimes you'll get these with the stripe kit, depending on the company. They'll throw one in. But if not, you could buy them online. We actually sell them on our website as well, racecityretro.com. But always start with a brand new one. Don't use a tape measure to measure out things. Use a plastic ruler. You know why? Because a plastic ruler won't scratch your car. Everything with a tape measure is metal. We don't want to rub metal all over our paint and chip it and scratch it or cut through the stripe. A plastic ruler works best. You could still measure things, centimeters or inches, depending on what you use, and you won't scratch your car. A pair of scissors to trim things. Make sure they're sharp. Okay, and then naturally we have our paper towels to dry. And Sprayway glass cleaner, my favorite. World's best, absolutely. I love it. I use it on everything. We're going to pre-clean the car with that. The car's already been washed with Dawn detergent, so the wax is gone. We're just going to pre-clean it with that, just to give it one last final clean. This is my application bottle. And what this is, it's just a bottle full of room temperature water with about 10 drops of Dawn detergent. It makes a lightly soapy mix that gives you time to maneuver the stripe on the car. If you got to peel it off, if you got to move it, it also gives you time to work the air bubbles out. Don't ever put a stripe on a car bone dry. It ain't going to happen. It ain't going to work. you're going to have air bubbles everywhere you look. You need that water to lubricate the stripe, be able to move it around, position it to where you want it, and it helps you push the air out. Whenever you stick a stripe to a car, you're always getting air between the stripe and between the car. So that water allows you time between the water and the applicator to work the stripe out. Now, if you look at the side of this car, okay, pretty long, right? That stripe is going to run from the tail to the front end. Now, when I do a full-length stripe on a car, I always start with the door because the door is in the middle. If you start from the middle, it creates the perfect foundation, the nice, straight, level foundation, so that you could run your back stripe straight, you could run your front stripe straight, because this is the foundation you're running them off. If you start with a back, let's say, okay, and let's say you tick it up a little as you're coming down, by the time you get to that driver's door, now you go to hook the driver stripe up to it. That's running upwards because it's bouncing off the rear stripe. Then by the time you get to the front fender, now all your stripe is crooked. Now your front fender is 2 inches above that body line, and your back one is a 1/2 inch above the body line. So when you start straight in the center and walk your way to the left, walk your way to the right, either way, doesn't matter, you'll always have a nice straight stripe on the car. So your main objective, step one, is to get the middle stripe on the car and get it on the car as straight as possible. If you look at that body line, and if this stripe has, let's say, a 1/2 inch at the front where it meets the front fender and a 1/2 inch where it meets the quarter panel, you know that stripe is nice and straight. Now you can apply your front and rear stripes based off of that nice straight center, and everything's going to look great when you get done. All right, so let's start our prep. We'll get everything ready to go, and we'll get started putting the stripe on my 1320 Challenger. Okay, so when you're doing stripes, clean is the most important thing. You want to make sure nothing is on the car that can get trapped between the stripe. I know this car's already been cleaned. I washed it myself last night. I pulled it in this garage last night. But we're going to, just as an insurance policy, hit it with some glass cleaner right where the stripe's going to go, and just make sure it's super clean. Now, paper towels. Notice I'm using paper towels. Make sure you're using lint-free paper towels, or you're going to put little fuzzies all over your car that are going to be under your stripe. See, lint-free. This is the area. This is what I'm concerned with. I want that area, not down here. We're just wiping the glass cleaner off. Where the stripe goes, I want that area clean. Don't use the same paper towel that you used on the fender. Let's hit the door. Use a fresh paper towel. Paper towels are cheap. No reason to rub anything on the car that doesn't need to be on the car. And make sure when you wash your car before, when you're getting ready to stripe, you don't use any type of soap with wax in it. That's why I used the Dawn detergent, because that actually strips the wax. You want a nice, clean, wax-free area, because you want to put the stripe on the car and you want it to last. You want it to dry good, grab good, and you want it to last. All right? See, not picking up any dirt, but as far as oils, if you got a little tire shine on the tires and it splashes up after you wash it, that's going to be under the stripe. That's why we clean. We did the pre-clean. This is the secondary clean. Just to make sure it's super clean. Yeah, I see a lot of vinyl jobs get rushed because I'm that guy. If I see a stripe on your car, I look at it up close. And if it comes out real nice, I'll tell you, hey man, nice job. But I see a ton of air bubbles, people trying to put stuff on dry, or you'll see big dirt chunks trapped under it. Just take the time to prep. Prep is 90% of it, is the prep. See this? I just want to clean so there's no gas in that area. And visually look at it, make sure it looks clean. If you want to take One more dry paper towel. Just give it a final buff. That looks good. Just to make sure it's all dry. That looks good too. I can see the glare of the lights. You know, especially in this area, you got a lot of oils from your fingertips. And on the back, let's do this. All right. We're ready to get started now. Looks good. Well, this is clean as a whistle. All right, let's stripe us a Challenger. Okay, so one of the other important things to have is a table to work on. This table's been cleaned by me already. I'm going to take this stripe down. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay this flat on the table. Watch you don't kink your vinyl, fold your vinyl. Lay it down nice. And what I'm going to do ahead of time, I'm going to cut each of these into sections. What I'll do first is I'll split it up the middle because we're doing the driver's side. Then I'll split these three and I'll leave my little notes on there so I remember what's what. Kind of hard to mess it up, but you want to make sure you don't mess it up. All right, let me do what I got to do. I'm going to trim this up. Okay, so there she is, sliced and diced. I just did the driver's side. I'm leaving the passenger side together for now so it doesn't get too confusing. The first piece we're going to put on is our driver's side door piece. When you see something like this that's got to go around a door handle, a mirror, and it's got no connection, what I like to do to play it safe is I'll split this one more time, put this little piece on first by itself, then put the secondary piece on second. And you could do the same thing here on the quarter panel. Could be split there around the gas cap. Put the shorter piece on first. Actually, this, they're probably about the same. Maybe that was a little shorter. Make sure when you're doing a stripe kit with direction, like you see how the passenger side leans one way, get your leans right. Generally, anything on a car points towards the front of the car. That shows speed. If this stripe leaned backwards, it would look kind of goofy. It would look like it's slamming on the brakes. That's why, like all your emblems on cars, they always point to the front. See, the B runs to the front. The 1320 leans towards the back. Oh, okay. Well, it's got a speed look with the B pointing forward. But the reason that is, I'll guarantee you that Dodge made one emblem for this car. They didn't want to have a 1320 left and a right. We'll take a look and check that out. All right, so let's get everything ready. We're going to start. Let me change the camera up. We're going to get everything ready to put this door stripe on first. Okay, so one of the things I did with this stripe, I trimmed this edge as close as I could to where it's going to hit the door handle, and I trimmed the far edge. Depending on how the person that cut the stripe cut it, sometimes you'll get a stripe that has a lot of meat. It runs over the edge. You got to wrap it. But by the looks of this one, it's not made like that. This one looks like it's going to end before the edge of the door, which is fine because generally if they run over, you take your straight razor, you cut them, you wrap them around the corner. But this one looks like it's going to sit right like that. So we're going to get started with this little one first. Another thing, get yourself a stool so that you're at eye level. You don't want to be looking down when you're doing stripes. You want to be more at eye level so you can watch your body line and keep your stripes straight. Let's get the soapy water. Let's start with this one. Let's get my applicator. And with your water, you're going to just mist. You're not going to put a ton on. Let's spray this out a little. There we go. Don't spray it where you're going to step. Okay, we're starting there. When you spray your vinyl, don't get water on the backing. If you get water on the backing, it's going to stick to the stripe. You're going to ruin the stripe. All right? So peel your stripe first. And when I say backing, all stripes that are cut on vinyl have a masking material that holds the stripe to release it to what you're putting it on. And they have a backing material, which is paper. Don't throw these on the ground. Put them on your table. They're very slippery. All right, so we already have some soapy water there. Just missed a little there. And like I said, this is so that you have time to move the stripe around. All right. And we want to make sure it's straight. All right. Watch the edge of your door. And slowly just start working some of the soapy water out from behind it. You see how it's still moving? Which you want that because you want to have time to position this thing so it's exactly where you want it. Now, I'm looking at that line and I'm looking at that line and it looks great right about there, actually. Let's see. You see what I mean by getting eye level? The edge is nice with the door. The top looks good. Let's take as much soapy water out as we can. And don't worry about this. You're going to have soapy water running down the car. It's fine. It's soapy water. It's going to rinse right off. Another reason why you want to do this inside is so that it's not out in the sun, baking all this stuff on, drying the stripes way too fast. If you don't have a garage, ask a buddy that does. Just say, hey man, could I borrow your garage a couple hours? And do it inside because you'll be happy you did. Trying to do this outside in the wind, in the sun, in the cold, it doesn't work. Your stripe's going to come out horrible. You got to have the right conditions to put vinyl on vehicles. If you look at the big shops that do this all day, most of the time they're places it's clean as a hospital. They have great lighting. It's the right temperature. That's all for a reason. That's not to impress you. That's just to make sure the stripe goes on your vehicle correctly. All right, so that looks good. We got about a 1-inch move off the line there. It looks nice and straight. Perfect. Done. Let's go to lunch. Join us next week when I put the rest of the stripe. Nah, only kidding. All right, let's get ready for this next one, the bigger one. I ate already. You wouldn't know by looking at me, but I like to eat. All right, so now same thing with this one. I'm going to trim this edge by that door handle nice and close. This way I can sink it right in there. And be careful when you do this. Don't cut your new stripe up. You don't have to trim the top and bottom because you actually want that. If you got to pull on it a little, like I said, keep these off the floor or you will slip on one. The backing material is very slick. All right, so this one is for the front of the door. I'm going to hold it up before I spray it. I want to do a little pre-test fit just to make sure like nothing's weird with this mirror. All right, so when I put this in the same position. Now, see what I meant when I talked before? Okay, if I put the stripe on like this, the fender one's going to run clear down the body line off the tip of the fender. I want to set this thing up nice and straight so that my fender is straight, my quarter panel is straight. So now I have this in the perfect spot. The end is right there where it needs to be. It can go forward a little tick. And I have this at the same inch off this body line that that back piece is. All right, so now here's where you're getting a little longer now. Okay, so if you have a problem pulling this yourself, make sure you stand up. Don't get too low to the floor. You don't want it to touch the floor. You don't want it to touch the car. Because once I pull this, all this is sticky. So if it hits the floor, you're going to get dirt in it and then throw the stripe out. It's wrecked. If it hits the car, not in a wet spot, it's going to stick. It may wrinkle, whatever, when you pull. So you want to handle this thing with kid gloves till you get it on the car. What we're going to do is pre-spray our soapy. And now remember, keep the soap away from your stripe. You don't want to get this backing material wet. All right, and if you go a little higher, it runs down the side of the car. Whoop, let's get that out of the way. And see how I'm holding this thing like it's, radioactive? Make sure you hold on to it good. Try not to drop it. Whenever you have a pointy edge like this, try and peel that first. Okay, now see, I'm going nice and slow. I'm pulling the vinyl back on itself. You don't want to go straight out. And see how I'm keeping it in midair, away from the car. Some people will start spraying now with soapy water, but like I said, you get this thing wet down there, it's going to stick to your stripe. And generally when you pull these, that last pop, they want to fly. So just make sure you get your arm real high. Okay, she's floating. Keep her off the ground. Spray, spray, spray. We're wetting both sides. That's the way I've always done them. So you got good time to play. We're going to stick it on the car in the appropriate area. And then we're going to work the water out. Okay, so see, when I stand back, everything looks good. This got to come up a tick. And now's where that plastic ruler comes into play. You don't want a tape measure because you don't want to scratch your car. All right, so, all right there. And let's see the back. Oh man, on the money. All right, now let me grab this. And now slowly, don't come at this thing like an animal. Let's move this stripe, throw it in my garbage box I got going over here. Don't come at it crazy. Slowly. See how my fingers are holding it? Because I don't want to move it. I just want to work the air bubbles out, the soapy water out. Very zen. Put some zen music on while you do this. I can't do music. I don't want to get kicked off YouTube. See, this is what this car needs desperately. It's just too much orange. And I tinted the windows. This car was so stock when I got it, it didn't even have tinted windows on it. It was owned by an old guy like me. All right, there's my end piece. And that's actually nice that they cut that before the end of the door, because going over that edge gives a lot of people problems with stripes that have never done them before, because that's your area where it's going to wrinkle without a doubt. Sometimes you have to get a heat gun involved. Sometimes it works. All right, and now we're not going to take this masking material off yet. We're going to let this set up a while. All right, but we are going to hit each and every part of the stripe, hit the whole thing twice this way. And I like to go long ways, and I like to go up and down. All right, see that? All right, just make sure you get all the bubbles out. Now, if you pull this and there was a bubble still trapped, you could work with this directly onto the vinyl. You just got to be gentle. You can't be... Sometimes afterwards, if you get a bubble too, they make a tool. It's just basically a pin on a stick. So you could take a pin, pop the bubble, work the air out. And especially on a black stripe, you won't even see where you popped it. The hole is so tiny. All right, she's looking good. Now from here, I can go either way. I can do the front fender. I could do the quarter panel. But what I know is this stripe is straight. I measured this, I measured that. So when I run my quarter panel off of here, this is what I'm basing it on. This distance, it's almost an inch. It's almost an inch. So when I get to the back of this car, I'm looking for the same distance. And when I mean the bottom of the stripe to the door line. I'm going to start the quarter panel in the same area this one is. And when I get to the back quarter, I want the end of that stripe. I don't want the stripe falling down. I don't want the stripe way up. Same thing with the front fender. We're going to shoot straight out, make sure that all stays the same. All right, but she's drying. See, if you were outside, this thing would dry like that. Be no good. You want it to dry slowly. All right, let me get my front stripe ready. Okay, I've got my front stripe trimmed down. And by trimmed down, I mean this edge where it goes to the door. The front edge is going to run over the body piece here. So now that's where your razor blade is going to come into play, because once we get the stripe where we want it, we're going to take the razor blade and slit that line and just work it into that crack. It'll curl over the edge of each fender in the header panel and sink down into that crack because there is no space there. So now this is going to be no different than the door. It's a little bigger of a piece, but by now you're a pro. You did the door. So just be careful. And let's just spray the car first. Get it up high so it runs down. All right, let's peel our vinyl from our masking, the masking from the backing. And if you ever want to know what type of vinyl, if someone's using good vinyl, look on the back. See 3M? That's good vinyl. This Oracal also, that's good vinyl. Now see how my left hand's going up, my right hand's going down. I'm doing everything I could do to keep this thing from hitting the floor, hitting the car, hitting the table. Go nice and slow. I'm going fast because I think I just heard the ice cream truck, but probably not. All right, and get this backing away from where you're working because you will slip on it. All right, see, there we go. Okay, see how she goes for the car? Move that away. Let's put that in my garbage. All right, let's spray this baby up right away. The sooner you spray it, the better, because now if it sticks to something, no big deal because it's wet. You're gonna be able to work it. Let's turn that. Don't drop it. Let's get it in the vicinity. All right, lift. All right. And just think, when you get this all done, you get to do it again on the other side of the car. Oh, why did I have to get such a big stripe? I could have got something small. Only kidding. It's going to look nice when it's done. All right, so now that is perfectly in line with that, but I want to check my other end too. Let's get my ruler and keep your tools within reach, not like I just did there, so that you don't got to keep running all over. This we know is good right here, man. Okay. And right here, same thing, man. Vinyl generally will lay out straight. It's not going to bend in the middle, but it will angle up, angle down. If I push this stripe up there, it's going to stick to the fender, but it's going to be crooked. So generally, once you get it right here, it will go straight out once you put it into position. So now, let's hold this. Oh, see it moved? That's all right. We'll get it back. All right, the height didn't move. It just moved forward to back. Okay, good. That looks good. That looks good. Hold the masking with your fingers and see all that water coming out? That's your soapy water. That's your best friend when you're putting a stripe on. Soapy water is your friend. I know it's making a mess in my car I just cleaned, but I'll wash it afterwards. You're not going to wash it in the car wash. You're not going to wash it like that. I'll just spray the bottom with some spray weight. You got to let this thing dry good. I wouldn't wash this car for 2 weeks after you put the stripe on. You want to make sure the glue hardens real good. You don't want to do anything that's going to affect the lifespan of it. But then once you do let it dry real good, then you could wash the car whenever you want. And 3M vinyl's very durable. It'll hold up to a car wash. I don't ever use car washes on my good stuff. I like to wash it myself because car washes are just brutally hard on paint, stripes, and everything. If you can, you'll see my buckets over there with my brushes in it. Always wash your car yourself. It's just, you could use a better grade of soap. And the do-it-yourself car washes, what I love is some guy will be in there with his 4x4, scrubbing the mud off the chassis with the brush, and then you see the next guy pull in. He don't even clean it. He starts sanding the paint off his car with the same brush. You know, you got so many people using those things to wash things they shouldn't be washing. Those things are good if you need the power washing part of it, but don't ever use one of those brushes at one of those do-it-yourselves. Man, you're asking for scratches in your paint. All right, so let's see, see how nice? I can move it a little still. All right, looks good, looks good. Got that line right on. All right, this on the edge. That's good, it's all down. This one's hanging down. There's a little lift on that edge. There it goes. All right, to the front, working out all the water. And you'll see it too. If you watch the bottom, you're going to see the water's going to just stop coming out at one point. All right, that looks good. All right, we're getting there. See how it's got that Mopar look, and the black with the orange is going to look really good on the car. It just needed it. It was screaming for it. It was just too orange. You know, it just needs something to break it. I did the tint. Tint looks good. I add some black. The wheels are black, but this will tie it all in nice. All right, so now we're getting onto the quarter panel. I'll set up the camera down that end. I want to cut that stripe down into the two pieces, and then we'll do the quarter. That's probably the biggest part of the car where we're going to stick it. Or this stripe was probably the longest that we just did. And now this is the part that I spoke about where it runs over. Once we peel this stripe, I'm going to put a slit in that, and I'm going to just work it in with this. If you push down on the line like that, it's going to work that stripe right into that crack. All right, but see, my spacing there looks great. My spacing back there looks great. Now we're going to just continue on with that quarter. Let me move my stuff down. Okay, so here we go. We're on our front quarter panel piece because you got your gas cap there. Then there's going to be a rear quarter panel piece on the other side. That's going to be one long stripe. So I'm looking forward to that. Woohoo! All right, so now I trimmed this down and I test fitted it. This is going to be a little interesting because you got a bulge on this quarter. Yet you still have that body line, so it shouldn't be too hard to keep it that same distance. And notice I brought my tools, brought my little stool, bring my tools close to me so I'm not running all over looking for tools. But let's get this sprayed. Let's pull this stripe and start on this one. And now you'll see the masking material on the front ones drying up. So by the time you get this whole car striped, you can go back to what you started and start pulling the masking. All right. Oh. Looks like UPS is here. All right, here we go. See what I'm going nice and slow, and I'm pulling this downward. I'm not going this way with it. We want to try and not make this stripe dance. There you go. All right, see it? Got my water right here. I don't gotta walk all over. Missed it. Set your spray bottle to mist. You don't want to hit this thing so hard it's flying all over. And let's get this on the car. You do like your pre-line up. And most of the time you're doing this, it's by eye because you can't really grab any of your tools yet. But if you look at your front, start from the front here, pull it all the way to the front where it needs to be. Follow the line. This got to come down a tick. And actually that looks real good right there. Let's check it. Plastic ruler again. Try not to use a tape measure unless you want to scratch your car because they always get scratched. All right. So this one and that one on the money. Let's go back here. That one's actually got to come down just a tick. And see, this is what I mean about setting that stuff up. And what I'm noticing is it opens up a tick in the bulge here, but that's because of the bulge. The quarters bow out on the car. All right, so now I'm going to hold this on the white and slowly start working gently. All right, I'm gonna work this on. You don't have to see this again. You're probably getting tired of me doing this. And then when I come back, we'll do the last piece and start pulling the front. Okay, there we go. It is looking good. It's on there from headlight to taillight. And now I just finished up on this back one. I didn't think you guys needed to stare at my back while I was putting this one on. But one of the things you watch for, see like with the gas cap, you got to check this distance going around the cap. See how they're even. You don't want one like, you know, touching the cap and one an inch away. You want it to have, see like that flow there. You want to keep it, you know, pretty even. You know, even when it comes to these stripes, they're not cut perfect. Sometimes they get a little waviness in them and stuff because of the vinyl plotter. But this one's really nice, man. Pro Motor Stripes. I'm going to put the link up for them. And now, our first section, this section is ready to peel because see how the masking is dry now? So the stripe is already starting to stick to the door. We're going to slowly start peeling this and playing with it, checking for air bubbles, stuff like that. Let me set the camera up and we'll get started on the removal of the masking. When you start to pull the masking off the stripe, you need nothing more than your hands. Make sure they're clean. And your applicator, because if you see any water or whatever way you want to keep removing, let's say, bring that with you. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, make sure your applicator is clean and fresh, doesn't have any breaks or anything sharp, because if you do use this directly on the vinyl, you don't want to hook your vinyl and rip your vinyl, so make sure it's nice and smooth to the touch. If it's rough or cut, use the other side. If both sides are cut, just get another one. Now, when you first start to remove the masking, you want to make sure it's dry enough. If you see you lifting the stripe off with the masking, let it dry a little more. Go start on the other side or something. That means that, you know, it's not super hot, I guess, where you're working. So you're going to peel this and roll it. See how I'm rolling it back on itself. You never pull vinyl out. When you pull vinyl out or masking out, you're going to take the vinyl with you. And it looks good under there. I'm going to roll it. And just go slow. There's no rush, man. This is a marathon. It's not a race. If you rush it, you're going to wreck it. You see any bubbles or whatever, you could start with your fingers always first. Don't use this unless you absolutely have to. If it's like a major water bubble, if it's a little here and there, just work it and just go to the end, to the edge. So, looks good. That's just the water between that drying. But see, nice placement, nice satin black finish, which matches all this, matches the wheels. It's really going to tie it all in. Now, if you're new to this, and this seems like an awful lot to pull, what you can do is rip the masking down a little. You cheat. See the in-between here? This stuff is just like masking tape. See, I'm starting a little tear. So now I'm just going to take these off instead of pulling this whole long thing and getting all nervous if you're new to it, right? So I'm going to start here. See how I'm ripping the masking? And I did that in between rather than on the vinyl itself because I don't want to lift the vinyl when I rip the masking. So you could do these individually if you want to get better at it. But generally, if you make it a little smaller, it's not pulling as hard, and it could do that. That's fine. And just like I said, always onto itself, never pull this way. You pull that way, you're going to lift the vinyl. You got to realize this vinyl's still wet. It's still drying. It's going to take a few days for the glue to harden and get, 100%. That's why we don't hit the car wash for a while, because you don't want, whether you're washing it, whether the car wash is washing it, you don't want any high pressure water. You'll blow the stripe right off the car. All right. Don't put this on the floor. Put it off to the side. Okay. So see, by ripping it, now making everything a little smaller, a little more manageable, a little easier to work with. And I'm just rolling it back. See? But notice, you see no air bubbles, no dings, no dents. I often think about, like, if you see these cars from the factory, like the TA Challengers, they come with these big stripes on them. They come with vinyl on the roof, the entire roof. They come with vinyl on the trunk. Some guy sits in the factory all day doing these stripes. And he's got to do them fast because it ain't like he's, they tell him, you could take 8 hours to do this. I'd love to know how it gets done and what it's like to do these, every day of the week. It's amazing. Car after car. In the beginning, you must be like, oh, that looks good. That looks good. But after you've done about 100 of these, you must be like, man, I'm sick of looking at stripes. And see what I love about this stripe, it's got that AAR CUDA look to it, leans forward, it projects speed towards the front of the car. All right, once again, we leave the masking out of the way. Let's do that same thing. We'll rip another one here. Just see that, just make a rip in the groove. Work this down nice and slow. It's not a race. Don't rush. When you rush, you mess up. So, you want your car to look good, right? You don't want everybody at the cruising going, man, look at those stripes. What do you put those on? In a sandstorm? See, and by prepping it, you're not seeing any dirt chunks or anything behind the stripe. Just rolling it. That's why just like painting, same thing with stripes, 90% of the job is the prep. You got to get it all right. Doing the stripe is the last part of it. If the area is not prepped properly, the stripe's not going to look good. Yeah, I'm liking that, man. That goes great with the orange, the Go Mango. All right, so let's go down this side a little. You got your mirror here. You could also go up, however you want to do it. I'm going to make this one a little longer. I'm going to stay with the tear method because another reason I like the tear method, boy, I can't get that word out today. This is still pretty fresh. If this car dried like overnight or something, then I know, man, this is bone dry. I could take full sheets off, but masking has got adhesive on it. It's sticking to the car. It's sticking to the stripe. Remember that. It's trying to take this stripe with it. We're trying to leave the stripe and just take the masking off. This is just like a roll of masking tape. This is used when you cut vinyl. The machine cuts the shape. Then you have to weed it, it's called. You got to take out all the waste, anything you don't want. Then you have to mask it. You put masking over it. And masking is the release agent that pulls the vinyl off the backing. Then when we stick it to the car, we don't want the masking no more, so now we're removing the masking, but the masking is still glued onto this vinyl, just like a piece of masking tape. So go slow, don't rush it. And this is the same. If you're putting decals on your car, like a windshield script or something big, it's no different. Wet it up good, clean it up good, prep it good, wet it up good. See there, I found a bubble. Let's work that. See, my finger, look, came right out. I didn't have to use the applicator. And all that is, that's the soapy water with air in it. The soapy water is trapping the air. But you may get some, not a big deal. I've seen brand new challenges with bubbles in the stripes. But we're trying our best to not get some. You put it on really nice and everybody goes, whoa, who did that stripe? Is that paint? That's always what you want to hear. If people are scratching their heads going, is that paint? Then man, you did a good job putting it on. You got the skills to pay the bills. Yeah, looks good. Take a good look. Before you move on to the next section, make sure you get everything the way you want it. Because now it's going to really start to dry. Especially when you're done. If you park the car outside, let it dry, then it's going to dry real quick. All right, that looks good. That looks real good. Let's get on to the front fender next. Okay, so now our next stripe in line is the front fender. So now this stripe was put on after the door stripe. So naturally, we don't want to pull the quarter panel yet because the quarter panel stripe is still has more wetness to it than this front. This one's been drying for a little bit. Now, I'm going to take my razor blade with me because I have that area up front here that I am going to have to put a slit in. If you did not cut this, you'd have almost like a constant air bubble there. So we're just going to put a nice straight slit once I take the masking off to get it to sink down to the fender. So I'm going to keep that right down this end. And let's start back here. I'll do the same tear method. We're going to keep this masking short and sweet. Let's put this on the table here. And you'll feel this paper. The masking gets wet when you use the soapy water, so now when I'm touching it, it's dry. So that tells me that it's been on long enough. You know, if I went and grabbed that quarter panel that I just did, this masking paper is going to feel moist to the touch. And I'm working nice and slow because even if you look at your design, these areas are getting bigger now. So now it's a bigger piece of vinyl as it gets to the front of the car. This is what they call a strobe stripe. These started in the 70s, and it was real neat because it shows speed and motion, and it keeps the color of the car between it too, which is what I like. It's not just like a solid black stripe. All right, nice and slow. And don't pull from down here. As this gets longer, get up to where it's coming off, because that's where you're going to be able to pull the lightest. You don't want to pull from down there because now you got, I guess you'd consider that like leverage almost. It's pulling even harder. We don't want to pull super hard. We want to pull just enough to get the masking off. Looks good, man. Real good. Beautiful. Okay, so that's the gap on the front. That's where we cut it with the razor blade and tuck the two ends of it in. Okay, so see how it'll stick to the car. If you want to take your finger as it's drying, just keep checking it. You know, just do that. Make sure it's sticking real good. I see another couple bubbles here and there. I got to work out of that one. All right, let me finish working these out, and I'm going to pull those quarter panel pieces of masking, and then I'll do a pan of the car where you can see this car fully striped. Oh yeah, there we go. All done. Nice, huh? Is that what this car needed or what? Was I right? Leave me a comment. Did I pick the right stripe? Does it go with the body style? Go with the muscle car look of the Challenger? I think so. I think now what it does too is it takes, these cars are very big this way, it brings it low. It makes it look lower and leaner, the car. I'm digging it, but there's still one very important person I have to show this to and make sure she approves. Hope you guys like it, but I hope she likes it too. If not, I'm gonna hear it. Let me go call her, tell her it's done. Let her come have a look. You like it? Okay, good. All right, I'll give you a cookie for liking it. And you like it too, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. That's right. Lucy says subscribe. Okay, they will. You don't have to yell. They will. Thank you, Lucy. Really? Okay. Okay, you doing the March bark? Okay. All right. Don't threaten them. Thank you, Miss Lucy. All right. I know. It changes the look of the car. That's what I was saying. It needed that. I know it needed that. I know. But I'm sorry I spent the cookie money on this stripe. We're out of cookie money till next week. All right. I can't keep... All right. I'm only kidding you. I got cookie money. I'll buy you cookies. All right. Thank you, Lucy. Take care, guys.